Hello and welcome to another Bamsters News Weekend Roundup. As always, I am your host Draconis, and I want to thank you for sitting with me today. So first up, is EA hinting at a return to Steam for their games? Well, they posted a, one might say, cheeky little GIF online on their Twitter account where it was an EA coffee mug with Steam coming out of it. So it's leading a lot of folks to theorize that they may be bringing their games back to Steam. Some more information I was able to glean is it looks like if they do that, it'll be much in line with the way that Ubisoft does the games on Steam. Or I should say, did the games on Steam, since it seems like Ubi has been partnering more with Epic Games. But basically, it would allow you to purchase the game on Steam, would allow you to launch the game from Steam, but it will still require an Origin account and the launcher on your system. So even though you'll see the game in your Steam library, when you launch it, it will come up, bring up the Origin launcher and launch it through there. And I say that's a great thing. I think it's, it's great that you'll have the option to buy them on Steam if that's where you want. And, I think it's something that is smart on the part of EA, if I can say that. Because, it's just, for folks who maybe were avoiding some of their games because they couldn't purchase them on Steam, if that was the only reason they were avoiding their games, which there are plenty of reasons to avoid several EA titles, and that's the least probably reason amongst them. Now folks won't have that argument, at least. And, man, I just wish they would do it before Jedi Fallen Order released, because I would love to pick that up through Steam instead of on Origin. Speaking of Ubisoft, they are suing a company called MizoSoft for providing a cheat service for Rainbow Six Siege. Now, basically, according to the court documents, they were selling a program called Budget Edition Rainbow Six Siege Cheat, and users could pay, $13 a day or $77 a month, and it would allow them to increase weapon damage, show hidden enemies, and expand the field of vision outside of the regularly set boundaries. So obviously, any one of these things, let alone all of them, put together, gives a massive advantage in a competitive environment like that. And man, I really don't get this. Like, I get PvP can be frustrating. I have my share of frustrations playing in Destiny's PvP when, I'm just looking to grind out either a specific weapon or, get my weekly engrams to upgrade, my character's light level. But to go through and intentionally play a game like Rainbow Six Siege, where it's pretty much only a competitive PvP title, and then just pay to cheat your way through, I don't get it. I don't know. I mean, it's not like, do you really get bragging rights off of that? I don't know. I don't see the point of that. If you want to play a game where you don't need to cheat, then, switch off of the PvP, go back to PvE, because PvE, admittedly is not as difficult as PvP. But, yeah, I don't know. So anyway, Ubisoft is taking those folks to court in an attempt to remediate any damage caused by that software. So I don't know. We'll see what happens as a result of that. They listed 10 different defendants in the suit, mostly going by like Discord names and whatnot. But Ubisoft is requesting the court will shutter MizoSoft and is seeking maximum damages of $25,000 per violation. I can only imagine how many times this software has been used. So, I mean, if the court were to award that, that alone could probably shutter the company. So we'll see. Now, if you missed it this week, or if you heard there was a little bit of a kerfuffle about Fallout again, this game is truly the game that just keeps on giving, but not the kind of things you want. Like this, considering Halloween is coming up, this is like the house you go to, and instead of getting that chocolate candy bar, you get like carrots or something. I mean, there's nothing wrong with carrots, but when you're going out trick-or-treating, you don't want carrots. You want the candy bars. So, if you missed it and heard that there was something that kind of was setting the internet ablaze, at least with gaming news channels and whatnot, Fallout has now released information on how they're going to handle private servers and how they're going to handle mod support and stuff like that. This is something that I think I mentioned, maybe it might have been last Monday or the Monday before, that the way that they phrased it sounded like it was going to be a paid service, and sure enough it is. So for $99 a year, there is also a monthly charge, but for $99 a year, you can subscribe to this Fallout First service, which will allow you to set up your own private server. Now, doing this, folks have found out that it's actually not private. Anyone in your Steam's list, your Steam friend list, can join you. So maybe you have a huge Steam friends list for any variety of reasons, and maybe you only wanted to play Fallout with a few of your friends. Well, sorry, that currently is not going to happen. Some of the other things were some additional cosmetics, and you would get additional amounts of atoms per month, but that didn't even equate to well, 1 month wouldn't even get you enough atoms to buy some of the cosmetics that were on there. Just a single cosmetic, in some cases, cost more than the atoms you would get per month, which is pretty crappy. But maybe even just as bad or worse than all of this, the stash that you get access to by being a monthly or yearly service member has apparently been, or at least appears to be, eating players' scrap. They've been depositing things in the scrap and then finding that they're go back in there later and it's not there. In some cases, some folks have been able to recreate this problem. Bethesda did release a statement as a response to many of these things. It wasn't received very well. Folks are not excited that they're having to pay for private servers. I will say that I do get that. Only the person who wants to run the server is the one that has to pay for it. But whereas with other services, when you pay for a private server, and that server will be online 24/7, so you could say, if you have friends in different time zones or just working different hours and you guys want to, kind of work together towards building things up and whatnot in that world, you'll be able to do that. Well, the way that these private servers works is the person who's paying for it, that server only exists when they're online. And when they go offline, the server gets shuttered. So if you are not paying for the service, but your buddy is, and he's got something he's got to go do and he shuts down, you get booted out and you can't play in that world. That in and of itself is kind of crappy, the way that handles. In addition to all the other issues that have come out. And that's why I say this is the game that keeps on giving, because there's been so many things that have come out with this game and with the other things that, different merchandise and stuff from the game that have just, it's been one thing after another. I cannot believe how many things have gone wrong with just this one game. It's pretty insane. Anyway, I expect that they'll make updates to it, and if it's done in true Bethesda fashion or with Fallout, some of those updates will break more things before they finally get it ironed out. So maybe if you... I can't recommend spending money on this monthly service, but if you are someone who this interests you, especially because of mod support, because mod support's only going to be on these private servers, so this is all behind a paywall now. But if this is something that interests you, I would definitely say hold off and wait on it. Wait on it probably until mid next year, maybe spring of next year if we're lucky. Plus, that's the other thing, is that the Wastelanders update with the human NPCs has been delayed till sometime next year. So I would definitely just hold off and wait to even bother with the monthly service fee to do a private server, if that's something you're looking to do, until that NPC update comes out at the earliest. And you might even want to wait until after that update comes out and they fix the bugs from that update. Now, one rather funny thing about all this is that someone purchased the Fallout First domain name, and we'll make sure there's a link in the description to this, but it's hilarious. They have basically taken and called the Fallout First description to Fallout FU First. And trust me, it's worth a look. Go check it out. It's definitely worth a read. It's pretty hilarious, and props to the person that put that together, because man, with everything else that's gone on with that game, we needed a good laugh, I think. Well, now, and speaking of a serious FU to the face, this is one that just kind of came across. I don't even remember how this one came across, but it was just pretty hilarious. So the title of the article is Florida Woman Dislocates Son's Jaw After He Wouldn't Stop Playing Fortnite. Now, the article itself is a little bit misleading because this all, the physical portion of all this happens as you read through well after the kid had stopped playing. But basically, the mom comes in and says, hey, you need to get off the game and you need to go take a shower. And then she comes in to check on him a little bit later. Now, this is a 10-year-old kid, mind you, so she comes to check in on him later. And you know, he's still sitting there playing Fortnite. And she's like, did you go take a shower? And he's like, no. And so she tells him, get off the game and go take a shower. And so the funny thing is that this all escalates because basically what you find out later in the story is that the kid like is on his way to go to the bathroom, and there's like some stuff going on between the two of them verbally, and then he starts saying things like, oh, I hate you and you don't do anything for me, and basically, I mean, it really sounds like the kid had it coming in a way. I'm not saying he should have had his jaw dislocated, but it definitely was one of those things that was in the heat of the moment where the kid, he deserved a response, and she gave him one by dislocating his jaw. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. This is hilarious because, like I said, I mean, it is one of those things where I think it was a little excessive, but I can understand how things got out of hand. Unfortunately, because of how this all went down and because it did get out of hand, she is being charged with aggravated child abuse and physical injury. But you know, hopefully the kid learned a lesson about mouthing off to his mom. I mean, apparently she is not a mom to be messed with. And then lastly today, before I get out of here, a little bit of sad news for myself and any fans of the Marvel's Cloak and Dagger show. Apparently Freeform has canceled that show. And man, that's really sad because like it took 2 seasons for them to really set up these characters, and now it looked like they were heading off into New York City, and we were really getting closer to what you see out of like the comics and stuff where they're going to be in New York City and doing stuff in there. And I was getting really excited for the direction that the show was going. We were, you know, scheduled to get a crossover with Runaways, which I'm hoping that doesn't get canceled. Some of the stuff that I'm seeing looks like we may still get the Runaways crossover episode because that has already been filmed. So, you know, when Runaways comes out with their next season, we'll probably still see the 2 characters from Cloak and Dagger show up in Runaways. So, unfortunately, Cloak and Dagger canceled, but it doesn't sound like we're going to miss out on the crossover episode, so we'll at least get that before it's gone completely. And hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, Runaways keeps going for a little while, because I thought that's been kind of an interesting show too. Alright, thanks again for sticking with me. Hopefully there was something in the weekend roundup here that caught your interest, or in certain stories at least made you laugh. But as always, a subscribe to keep up with what we're doing is appreciated, a like is appreciated, and sharing out the videos certainly does help us out. We can't thank you enough, so please and thank you, and I will catch you next time. This has been Draconis. I'm out.